Today, we are learning how to say I like something or I don't like something. And by the way, at the end of this lesson, make sure you stay tuned so that you can get access to my free library of resources. Welcome to Teacher Catalina, my channel where you learn Spanish with a native speaker, a certified Spanish teacher with more than 16 years of teaching experience. The focus today is the verb gustar. Gustar. You may think that it means to like. And although that is the general meaning, there's a little bit more that we have to learn about this specific verb. The main thing that I want to point out to you is that although we certainly use the verb gustar to talk about us liking something, we want to make sure that we understand that the literal translation truly is that something is pleasing to me. Again, although we use it to say we like something, the actual translation is something is pleasing to me, or to us, or to them. Why is this important? It is extremely important because it's going to change the way that verb works. You're gonna see why. Technically, you are not the one liking something. Something is pleasing to you. Do you kind of see how that changes the whole dynamics of the verb? You are not the one performing the action. Something is pleasing to you. Please keep that in mind as we go through this lesson. So since we're in Spanish class, let's go ahead and pop up our blackboard here because we do have to go over some important information. First, I have the subject pronouns there. We've already covered subject pronouns in previous lessons. Now, we will not be using the subject pronouns with the verb gustar. However, I have them here for reference. So make sure that you can kind of get used to seeing them, but remembering that we will not use yo, tú, él, ella, nosotros, vosotros, ellas, and ustedes with the verb gustar. Instead, we are going to use what we call indirect object pronouns. I know that is a big name, but you're going to see they're pretty easy to learn. So the indirect object pronouns are going to start popping up right here on our board. Now, I don't need you to specifically recall what they're called, indirect object pronouns, but I want you to keep that in the back of your mind because later on, when we actually learn about indirect object pronouns, you will have this lesson as background reference, background knowledge, something that is going to help you move forward. So one more time, with the verb gustar, and that is the only verb that we're going to worry about this for now, we are not going to use the subject pronouns. Instead, let's go ahead and fill out our indirect object pronouns. So, if you want to say something is pleasing to me, we are going to say me. Me. Something is pleasing to you, we are going to use te. Te. For él, ella, and usted, we are going to use le. For nosotros, nos, vosotros, os, and ellos, ellas, and ustedes, les. Again, why do I have the subject pronouns here? Simply as reference, so that you can see who is the person that is receiving the action. But with the verb gustar, we will use this indirect object pronouns. Me, te, le, nos, os, les. Now that you know the indirect object pronouns, notice how they, again, kind of match that subject pronoun, that person that is receiving the action. So with that out of the way, it's time to look at the two forms of the verb gustar. Yes, you heard that right. There's only two forms. We have gusta and gustan. That's it. Nothing else to worry about. Gusta for singular things and gustan for plural things. So Teacher Catalina, what does that mean? That simply means, how many things do you like? Is it one thing? Then you choose gusta. Is it multiple things? Then you go with gustan. That's it. Those are all the rules that you need to remember for the form of the verb gustar. Having said that, you do have to memorize this indirect object pronouns because you will be using them with the verb gustar. So, if something is pleasing to me and it's one thing, let's say an ice cream, I would say me gusta, and I know you remember that word, un helado. Me gusta un helado. So that's it. We have everything we need for the verb gustar. So now let's go ahead and explore and review a little bit. The indirect object pronoun is based on the person receiving the action. In this case, we can kind of say the person that likes something, okay? Now, the form of the verb gustar is going to depend on how many items we like. Is it an ice cream or is it some ice creams? Singular versus plural. Gusta and gustan. Remember, gustan is plural. So let's start with an example that involves pizza. Most people like pizza. And if you don't like it, don't worry. Stick a little longer and I'll teach you how to say you don't like something. In this example, I want to say I like pizza. Okay? One pizza. Pizza. So what I'm going to start is with my indirect object pronoun me. Then I'm going to say gusta because we're talking about one pizza. And then I'm just going to add la pizza. So let's put it together. Me gusta la pizza. Me gusta la pizza. I like pizza, or pizza is pleasing to me. Now, let's change things a little bit. Let's say that we are going to talk about pizzas. I like pizzas, or pizzas are pleasing to me. The only thing that changed here is how many pizzas we're talking about. I am still going to keep me, but we are going to choose gustan and then las pizzas. Remember how I told you everything in Spanish kind of matches? Here's another example. Me gustan las pizzas. Those things are all plural. The only thing that didn't change was the me because those things are still pleasing to me, or I like pizzas. Let's do another example. This time, let's say you like ice cream. Remember, helado? Again, that H, shh, silent. Helado. So, since it's you, we're going to pick te. Te. Gusta, since we're talking about helado, singular. And then we just add el helado. So we would say, te gusta el helado. Again, if you want to talk about multiple ice creams, you would only change the form of the verb gustar, and then of course you would make helado plural. So we would say, te gustan los helados. Te gustan los helados. Te gustan los helados. Let's do one more example, but I'm not going to give you all of the answers. I'm actually going to kind of walk you through it so that you can check if you're kind of getting this lesson. Okay? Let's start with the word manzanas. Manzanas. We talked about them in a previous lesson. Apples. Manzanas. Plural. Hint there. So, I want you to say, I like apples. Or, apples are pleasing to me. What indirect object pronoun would you use? Very good. You start with me. I or to me. Gustan, because it's multiple apples, right? Very good. I'm glad you caught that. And then you're just going to add your object. So hopefully you ended with me gustan las manzanas. Me gustan las manzanas. Let's now talk about galletas. Galletas, those are cookies. But in this example, we're going to change things a little bit because so far we've been talking about I and you. So now let's talk about a group of people, plural, liking something. So we want to say, we like cookies. We like cookies. I want you to think really quick and see if you can get this. Very good. The indirect object pronoun would be nos. Muy bien. Nos gustan, because we have multiple cookies, galletas, and then we finish off the sentence. Nos gustan las galletas. Let's be a little silly and let's say that we ate all of the cookies except one. And now we want to say that we like the cookie. We like the cookie. How do things change? Very good. We still keep nos because it's still we. It's still kind of coming back to us. We use gusta because we have one galleta, and then we finish off the sentence. Nos gusta la galleta. Nos gusta la galleta. So hopefully, after all of those examples, you were able to actually see that the indirect object pronoun depends on the person that is receiving the action, or in this case, the person that likes something. And the form of the verb gustar depends on how many items we like. Do you like one item? Then you go with gusta. Do you like multiple items? You go with gustan. So take a quick look at something that I've added to the board. I kind of kept most subject pronouns, but I added a couple of other things in a different color. Those are called prepositional phrases. You really don't need to know that, but I kind of like to throw it out there in case your teacher may require it. Having said that, all that those prepositional phrases do is add emphasis. In case we want to make sure and make something super clear, we're going to add those prepositional phrases to add emphasis. Now, that may all sound like a little bit too confusing, so let me show you. It's super easy to do. So let's look at an example. We already know how to say, I like ice cream, or ice cream is pleasing to me. Hopefully, you know that that would be, me gusta el helado. Me gusta el helado. Now, if we want to add emphasis, all we're going to do is we're going to add a mí me gusta el helado. A mí me gusta el helado. And that's all we do. We added that prepositional phrase at the beginning to add emphasis. Let's look at one more example. For example, we could say, we like cookies. We like cookies. So we would say, nos gustan las galletas. Nos gustan las galletas. Remember, gustan because we have multiple galletas, multiple cookies. Now, we want to add emphasis. So we would say, a nosotros nos gustan las galletas. A nosotros nos gustan las galletas. So, Teacher Catalina, do I need to use those prepositional phrases? Well, that depends. I'm going to be totally honest with you. They are not required. You don't have to use them. As a Spanish speaker, I use them sometimes, and sometimes I don't. The matter of fact here is that I want to make sure that you know them, because if you are taking this class at a school, a college, or a university, your teacher may require it. Could it show up on a test? Yes. Could it show up on a book that you may be reading? Absolutely. Could a Spanish speaker that you're talking to use them? Definitely. That's why it's important for you to know them. So now you know how to use the verb gustar to talk about the things that you like, or again, the things that are pleasing to you, or him, or her, or them, or us. So now, how do we say we don't like something? That's important to know too, don't you think? Very good. So let's talk about that. How do you say you don't like something? The good news, it's super easy. So all you're going to do is you're going to add a no in front of your indirect object pronoun. Is that it? Yeah, that's it. You're simply going to add a no in front of your indirect object pronoun. So let's look at an example. Maybe you want to say, I don't like ice cream. I'm not sure why you would say it, but maybe you don't like ice cream. So all you're going to do is you're going to put that no in front of your indirect object pronoun. So you would say, no me gusta el helado. No me gusta el helado. See how we put that no in front of your indirect object pronoun me? That's it. No me gusta el helado. Let's look at another example just to make sure. Maybe we want to say, we don't like cookies. We don't like cookies. So we would say, no nos gustan las galletas. No nos gustan las galletas. Again, that indirect object pronoun is based on who is receiving the action or who is liking the item. But the form of the verb gustar is based on how many things we like. So let's look at that example again. No nos gustan las galletas. And we chose gustan because we have more than one galleta, more than one cookie. For this next part, we are going to have to learn a new vocabulary word. And that vocab word is the word tarea. Tarea. By the way, that means homework. Tarea. So here's a question for you. ¿Te gusta la tarea? ¿Te gusta la tarea? Do you like homework? I can almost guess the answer. So how do you answer this question? Well, there's something here that I kind of have to point out to you. There's a difference between making a statement about liking or not liking something and answering a question about liking something. When you are asked a question, you first have to answer the question and then you talk about whether you like things or not. What do I mean? I am sure that you wanted to say you don't like homework. So here's how we would answer this question. We would say, no me gusta la tarea. No me gusta la tarea. Did you see how there are two no's? That is important to know when you're asked a question about whether or not you like something and the answer is no. The first no is simply no. That's your answer. Do you like homework? No. The second no is what is going to make that gustar verb into a negative verb, the way that you would say, I don't like. So you have to have two no's. No for no, and no for no me gusta. So no me gusta la tarea. So again, guys, if you are asked a question about whether or not you like something and the answer is no, make sure that you have two no's. One for the no and one for the don't. So again, let's do another example just to make sure you have that. The question is, ¿te gustan las manzanas? Manzanas are apples. ¿Te gustan las manzanas? And I want you to act like you don't like them. How would you answer that? ¿Te gustan las manzanas? Think about it. Good. First, you will say no. And then you're going to say, no me gustan las manzanas. No me gustan las manzanas. Easiest way to remember is that if you want to answer no, I don't like, you need to have a double no. So it's just like in English. You always answer the question and then you say, I don't. So exactly like you do it in English. Now, the same thing applies for yes, except we don't add two yeses. But here's how you would say, yes, I like apples. So let's go back to that question. ¿Te gustan las manzanas? ¿Te gustan las manzanas? First, answer yes or no. We're going to say sí in this case. So, sí, me gustan las manzanas. Sí, me gustan las manzanas. If it's a no, again, first, answer the question, no. And then, no me gustan las manzanas. No me gustan las manzanas. And that's it. So remember, there's a little bit of a difference between a statement and an answer to a question. If you're just stating you don't like apples, you could simply say, no me gustan las manzanas. If you are answering the question, you need the double no, because the question would have been, ¿te gustan las manzanas? And then you would say, no me gustan las manzanas. That was a lot that we just learned together. So let's do a super quick review to make sure that you have all of this under control. If you want to say you like something, you are going to use what we call indirect object pronouns. They are me, te, le, nos, os, les. That's going to be used depending on who is receiving the action, or in this case, who is liking something. Okay? Then we have two forms of the verb gustar. We have gusta for when you like singular things, and we have gustan for when you like plural things. We also talked about prepositional phrases to make sure that you add emphasis to your sentence. And we can use those, but they are not necessary. In that case, we're going to put them in front of your indirect object pronoun. So we would say something like, a mí me gusta or a mí me gustan. Finally, we talked about how to say you don't like something. And we said that in order to do that, you're going to put a big no in front of your indirect object pronoun. And to close it all up, we talked about the fact that there's a difference between making a statement and answering a question. If you're answering a question, you better answer that question first. Sí or no. And then you proceed with your answer. So you would say no, no me gusta, or sí, me gusta. If it's a statement, you don't need to answer a question because nobody's asked you a question. You simply state whatever it is that you want to state. What I've given you right now is the simple way of using the verb gustar. Is that the only way that we're going to use it? Absolutely not. We have a lot to learn about the verb gustar, but for now, I just want you to focus on this. On our next lesson, we're going to learn how to say I like to ride a bike, I like to read, I like to listen to music, and all of those activities. For now, focus on mastering the indirect object pronouns and when to use gusta and gustan. That's it. So as I promised you at the beginning of the video, I want to make sure that you have access to my free library of resources, and you can find those at www.teachercatalina.com. By the way, I have a very useful handout for this specific lesson that summarizes a lot of the things that we talked about. It would be a great review for you to have or something to print and have with you as you're getting more comfortable with this concept. Again, www.teachercatalina.com. It's free. If you need more lessons or you're ready to jump onto your next lesson, go ahead and check out my channel. I have tons of videos readily available for you so that you can continue your Spanish journey. You don't have to wait for my next release. I already have lots of them ready for you. Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you next time. By the way, if you have not subscribed to my channel, this would be a great time to click that subscribe button so that you and I can continue learning together. If you learned from this video, smash that like button. And don't forget to click the notification bell so that you know every time that I have a new video. Muchas gracias y nos vemos. Adiós.